Okay, hi, this is Elliot Fishman, and let's do part 4. And this is part 4 of 4 on deep learning. We left off last time. I mentioned this article. It's an excellent article published the other week in New England Journal of Medicine looking at pancreatic cystic lesions, going through all the various lesions, talking about them, how you recognize them, the challenges of management. It also a number of times makes the point that AI may be the way to answer some of these challenges. In the article by Ganda, the overall risk of malignancy in pancreatic cysts may be as low as 1.5%. The annual risk of progression, 0.5. However, studies estimate that 15% of all pancreatic adenocarcinomas arise from mucinous cysts, and these cysts are the sole recognizable precursor of malignant transformation. Thus, identifying cysts at risk is an opportunity for early detection. Again, it's the ones that are at risk. Remember, I mentioned 97% of small cysts are benign. 3% are the ones that are the risk ones. Can we figure these out? That's the question. We talk about cyst fluid. A lot of work is being done there, looking at the risk based on the cyst fluid. For example, a VHL mutation is 100% or so specific for serous cystadenoma, but it's only seen in, at best, half the cases, probably more like 25%. The KRAS mutation, which is considered a founder mutation, is more than 95% specific for either type of mucinous cyst, with a sensitivity up to 70%. Mutations in GNAS are specific for IPMNs, but not MCNs, but again, not always detected. The absence of a VHL mutation combined with the presence of a KRAS or GNAS mutation is nearly 100% specific for mucinous cysts with an accuracy of 97%. So you can see we're learning a lot more about cyst fluid. Now, of course, the challenge with cyst fluid is you got to get the fluid, which means EUS, which is not something you can do on every patient, obviously. So the question is, how can we do better? Now, surely, once you have fluid, can we separate those patients who need surgery from those patients we don't need to follow up? In this article by Chenkin, which is also published within a day or two of the other article I just mentioned in New England Journal of Medicine, they talk about imaging for early detection of pancreatic cancer, mentioning, of course, that we have been screening for high-risk patients, but those are a small percent of the population. What about the majority of pancreatic cancers? Application of artificial intelligence to standard of care imaging may address the current limitations and diagnostic errors that delay identification of pancreatic cancer. Emerging research highlights AI's considerable capability in detecting of visually occult pancreatic cancers at least 1 year before clinical diagnosis, in addition to fully automated detection and segmentation of small pancreatic cancers on standard portal venous imaging. Although these studies offer valuable insight and generate early detection of pancreatic cancer, it hinges on prospective validation. So again, work needs to be done. We talk about signs. There was a good article from the Japanese group in AJR talking about localized steatosis occurring 1.6 years before diagnosis. We talk about focal atrophy. We talk about duct dilatation. So again, what about these subtle findings? Also, how often are they false positive? Are we going to be chasing a lot of people for no reason? Main duct abnormalities, we're comfortable. That could be a year in advance. And I mentioned before, that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. If you see a dilated pancreatic duct with cutoff, you need to evaluate, because most of the patients are going to have a reason for that, and you could pick up early pancreatic cancer. It's not perfect because sometimes it's neuroendocrine tumor, and sometimes it could be to old trauma. But again, a very, very important sign, allowing us to perhaps pick up tumors while they're treatable for cure. AI's threat to the medical profession. Fogo talks about that maybe we're going to have less intellectual debates among colleagues, concern about what AI is going to do to our interactions. They talk about the fact that we need executive orders and rules. Physicians should realize that keeping AI within boundaries is essential for the survival of their profession and for meaningful progress in diagnosis and understanding of disease mechanisms. Yes, no, and maybe. I think the issue is we need to go full out with AI, knowing its potential problems and limitations, and manage those limitations. Yes, you need to have guardrails. You're not going to start using AI today and not reading the scans. But if you're worried about executive orders do not work. Clinicians think of diagnosis mainly in terms of detection and classification. Over time, increased understandings of genomic, proteomic, metabolomic, and microbiomic underpinnings of human biology will produce greater understanding of the etiology and progression of biologic function from the state of health to the state of disease. And it's very exciting. Interventions may be designed to enhance, maintain, and as needed, restore health. But this is where AI, in this article by Feinberg, Song, and Wang and Jama, the possibilities of what can happen. In New England Journal of Medicine, making the point that yes, it's tricky because so much is happening so quickly. You got to be careful. It's like a blurred picture off a speeding train, but that train is making progress, and we need to be looking at that progress very, very carefully. David Blumenthal, Bakul Patel, New England Journal of Medicine. Current systems for regulating human clinical intelligence are imperfect, as is human intelligence. Some prospective clinicians perform poorly in their undergraduate or graduate coursework. Most do not correctly answer every question on their licensing or board certification exams. Virtually every clinician, no matter how distinguished or experienced, makes errors in diagnosis and treatment during their careers. We also understand that clinical intelligence is dynamic. Good clinicians are lifelong learners who rely on their experience and new scientific information to improve their care over time. What Blumenthal is saying is the world is changing. Clinical AI poses novel challenges. However, these challenges are worth embracing. These technologies have enormous potential to improve health and lives. Wise regulation can help ensure that clinical AI reaches its full potential to improve patient care. What we need to have is clinicians working closely with the computer scientists. When you have computer scientists at academic institutions, and I mean colleges, I should call them academic institution, these people are doing AI and they think data that's generated from hospital is just data. And they could look at the data better than any clinician and they could reach. When we speak with Microsoft, they say they want to work with us because we're the domain experts and they're the AI experts. Together, we can reach the right answer. That's very important. If you're only looking at lab results or numbers, it's a bunch of numbers. And yes, you can make some conclusions, but you can reach the wrong conclusions, and you're not going to reach the right conclusions and do what's best for our patients. This was published yesterday, Governing AI for Humanity. This is from the United Nations. Now, I always am concerned with big groups creating rules. They have an international scientific panel on AI with some recommendations, which you can see here, and policy dialogue. I think the challenge is people do mean to do the right things, but I think AI is moving very quickly. We need to watch it carefully in the medical perspective. But when you start having organizations like the UN doing things, they move so slowly. By the time they come up with a decision, things will be well downstream. But you are going to see lots of things. And people will be wrong and people will be right. This was an article published in Newsweek, 1995, by a very, very high-level person talking about why the internet is basically going to fail, and makes the point, could you imagine people to read articles online? Are you kidding me? Too many connections, try later? Well, guess what? This was in Newsweek. Newsweek is not printed anymore. It's all online. Here's Paul Krugman, who was a Nobel Prize-winning economist. Very, very smart guy. Brilliant guy, right? By 2005, he said this in 1998, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than that of fax machines. Well, has anyone seen a fax machine in the last decade? I don't think so. But look how such a smart guy could be so wrong. Even Abe Lincoln, who was one of our greatest presidents, He knew the internet was not going to work. At least he thought that. The problem with internet quotes is you can't always depend on their accuracy. Abe Lincoln, almost 150 years ago, was worrying about accuracy, recognizing that the challenge for us is to figure out what is the truth and what is not the truth. And by the way, you know that Abe Lincoln didn't say that. I think it was Mark Twain who said that, to tell you the truth. So I showed you this as my first slide after the title slide. The future of medicine is AI, and I think I've shown you a lot to prove that. Patient care will improve with AI. Again, we need to use AI correctly. There's lots of challenges, there's pitfalls, there's errors. Everybody wants to put their 2 cents in, whether it's the United Nations, who can't do the job that they're supposed to be doing, and they're worrying about expanding into AI rules. I don't think that's going to work. I think we need to work together to make sure and put guardrails in place to make sure we do the right thing. But I think together we can do that. And it's not a question of if, but when. And with that, I thank you for your attention. Let us know what you think. Email us, write me. Let us know. I think it's an exciting field, and I've literally, this talk, I changed the slides yesterday. I added new bits of slides. And if I give the talk next week, I would have added new slides as well. So whatever, it's exciting, and we're lucky to be part of it. And with that, have a great day. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the CTisus YouTube channel. You can also visit us at ctisus.com for even more videos, plus quizzes, pearls, protocols, and oh so much more. We're also in the App Store and have well over a dozen apps for iPhone and iPad, all completely free. Thanks for watching.